So it's been a while since I reviewed a subwoofer on this channel, so I wanted to bring a more affordable subwoofer that's free for review. This is my review of the Klipsch R-12SW 12-inch subwoofer. So anyway, let's get this thing unboxed. So first impressions is you definitely got that classic Klipsch look with that like copper driver color. That's unmistakably a Klipsch feature. So let me get the grill open to see what it looks like with the grill on real quick. I guess the first impression of the grill, it's a cloth grill. It kind of has like a little notch there for the Klipsch logo to go on. So let's put it on and see what it looks like. So one thing to notice immediately is that for one, again, notch for the Klipsch logo there. Even through the camera, you can see the color of the driver right through the mesh there, which is kind of cool. So even if you got the grill on, you can still appreciate that nice copper Klipsch, classic color that it's that this thing has, which I kind of like. Yeah, I should probably mention that it's got a really nice rubber surround around it. Doesn't feel flimsy at all. It looks like it could take some abuse, so that's another good feature that it has. Overall, it's a very nice driver. I mean, you can see that this thing has pretty straight edges, somewhat sharp edges. It's hard to complain when I only paid $150 for it, since it is quite powerful for the money. And in contrast, you can see the SB-2000's got some nice rounded corners here, which makes it a little sleeker in my opinion. But again, really good price on this thing, $150. So this first impression is this is definitely a black veneer, which is expected at this price point. But it's rather nice actually. It's at least got a little texture to it. You can kind of make out some texture there. And here we got the amplifier section. You got your gain knob and your crossover. Obviously, if you're going to use your receiver to set the crossover, you're going to want to keep it on LFE mode there. And you got your phase. You can go 0, 180 degrees in phase. I would keep it at 0. You can go off, auto, and on. I would leave it right in the middle for auto, so it'll just kick in when it senses a signal. There's some line level inputs there. I would probably only just use the one that's marked LFE. Plugs is just a normal like 2-prong plug here. Definitely point out there's this pretty good sized, almost can stick my hand in here, size port. I just wanted to give a frame of reference. This is one of my SVS SB-2000s, and you can see that the ports are in the front. SVS is very well known for making really good subwoofers, and they really know what they're doing. So again, SVS puts their ports in the front, which is for the best. So this is the bad boy I'm going to set it up against. I'm actually going to install it on this side of my room. I actually have two SVS SB-2000s, also with 12-inch drivers. These are not ported though; they're sealed. And definitely going to put the Klipsch next to this. So I just wanted to give a quick size comparison between the Klipsch sub versus the SVS sub. Obviously the SVS sub is much smaller since it's sealed. Most of the time ported subs are bigger, but this isn't much bigger than the SVS. It's just a little bit taller. I have them set to the same distance from the wall there. You can kind of see the overlap there. So again, if you're looking for like a small compact subwoofer, this isn't too big. Then again, not as compact as my little SVSs there, which really pack a punch given their size. Let's give you a little quick size comparison between the PB-3000 and the 12SW over there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and test the Klipsch against the SVS for a while and see how it stacks up against the SVS. I'm going to do it on the right side of the room, which is, I guess, close to this window here. I thought, given it's probably the better side, if I only had one sub, I'd definitely put it on this side of the room. So and I'm not going to test. I'm just going to run it as one sub. I'm going to disconnect the other SVS subwoofer that I have, and you know, see how it does. I've listened to the Klipsch 12SW for, I'd say, the better part of a week, and put on my favorite demo tracks on movies and stuff. And this thing puts out a lot of output. I could tell from just my ears and from my measurements that I'll go into more detail later. This thing was exceeding 100 decibels at about 45 hertz. So this thing has more of a U-shaped like bass response than flat. So it's kind of like it's emphasized between, I'm going to say, like 30 and 60 hertz. There's more of a bump there. So not to say that this thing does play. When you have it cranked up enough, it definitely does give you some pretty good output. So at around 20 hertz, even a little lower. I think I measured, I'm going to say 87 decibels, about 18 hertz, which is, so you are getting sub infrasonic, is that the word? Infrasonic, I'm going to say, like response at that volume, which is excellent for a speaker that I paid $150 for the speaker. So to get that kind of deep bass for such a good price is, really, I mean, it's amazing. I would say that this room is not small. This is like I think it's a 20 by 35. I'll put the dimensions below in this room. So this is not a small room. I don't think you need two of these, because this is powerful enough that I kept going up to the back of it to lowering the gain, because it was almost uncomfortable at some points. I could feel the couch shaking a little bit. There are some caveats here. I did have to play with placement a little. I even went ahead and plugged the rear port to see if that helped mellow it out a little bit, but it really didn't make a big difference. So at this point, I would just suggest not even bothering. If you do want to plug it, I have a big pair of like ski socks that I just stuffed in there, and it like I said, it brought it down. But I was trying to get that hump above 45 hertz down, but not really affect the lower extension. But it really didn't. It was just lowering the entire bass response. So I don't think it's worth it. I also experimented with placement. Since the port is in the back, I pulled it out about 9. I tried it around 5 inches and 9 inches, but you don't want to have. It would look weird to have a subwoofer like 18 inches away from the wall. It's not really like a main speaker, so you're I feel like you're a little limited to how far you're going to bring it out into the room. But I think I would settle around between 5 and 9 inches. So when you see the graph of the SB-2000, you're going to see that it's slightly, it's a way flatter graph, and that's what you want with bass response. You kind of want a flat bass response. You don't want to have like big bumps in output throughout it. So obviously the SVS is definitely a better subwoofer overall, but this one is going to, but it's again more money. We're talking, I think the PB-1000s are currently going for $600, so you could buy 4 of these for that much. Since I got these for $150, I think they're normally around $300 more normally. The SVSs do play much lower, so it is, I guess, to get that kind of depth in bass response, you just got to pay for it. Definitely not as refined as the SVSs, but solid, and they give you a lot of output. You're gonna want to play with the gain in the back a lot. Play with placement, see where it feels less boomy, I would say, because there were some moments where I felt that this was a little boomy, and I did feel that plugging the port did help a little bit with that. But then I was just lowering. When I did that, I was just lowering the entire curve. So You know, I think you're just better off playing with the gain in the back and just positioning. Just move it around your room, see where it works best for you. I took some measurements of the Klipsch 12SW subwoofer here. This is the subwoofer 5 inches from the wall, from the back wall, and unplugged. As I noted earlier in the video, I did plug the port in the sub to see if that helped kind of like, mellow this thing out a little bit. Yeah, so this is basically, the way I see this is how most people are going to set it up. They're going to set it up in maybe close to the corner of one room and have it about 5 inches from the wall. That's maybe even closer. So this is the output. So as you can see, it peaks right here at 108 decibels at 44 hertz. So that is a lot of output. You have a very good output at close to 80 hertz. You got almost 100 decibels here. Going lower, we got another peak here at about 32 hertz, and you have almost 96 decibels. At 30 hertz, we're talking almost 95. And if you go down all the way down, you have another little peak here at about 24 hertz, and you're still getting 85 dB. And if you go to, let's go to 20 hertz. At 20 hertz, you're still getting 80, almost 81 decibels. So solid. Again, not the flattest bass response ever. Okay, so this is, I'm going to bring in, this is unplugged and 9 inches from the wall. And you can see I just pulled it out another 4 inches. You can see it does bring the a little bit of the output towards the top end a little bit. It messes with that. It also brings it down a little here, but essentially it's the same. It's definitely worth playing with positioning around your room, but not necessarily. I wouldn't worry about it being too far from the wall because it really doesn't make a big difference. This is 5 inches from the wall and plugged. As you can see, it just kind of brings the whole. It just brings the output down everywhere. I was trying to like lower it at the peak, but again, it just brought it down pretty much everywhere. As I said earlier in the video, I would not recommend plugging this thing. I would just I would just play with the gain. That's why I kept going to the gain knob and bringing it down. It's because I was getting 108 dB, when I had it set up like this. So I kept lowering. This is too loud. It's too loud. This is 9 inches from the wall and plugged. As you can see, again, not a lot of difference here from this dark green color here. It brings it down a little bit. But again, it's not worth plugging this thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it's not worth plugging this subwoofer if you think you're going to get better bass response. Just, again, play with the gain. I got this subwoofer for about $150, right? And now it's going for about closer to $180. You could probably buy 2 of these things and buy a mini DSP for $100 and kind of like EQ these peaks out and flatten this curve way, way more. I'm sure that you could easily do that. I've never used a mini DSP. I've only used the DSP in my SVS subs, which are really easy to use with an app. I'm sure there are a lot of videos out there that can teach you how to do that. And if let's say you did get 2 of these subs for $180 each, that's $320 plus about $100 for a mini DSP. We're talking $420 or so. Really, it's a lot of output for that amount of money. And you can totally use the mini DSP to EQ out these peaks, these heavy duty peaks here. I took some measurements of the SVS subs to kind of give you an example of what a more flatter bass curve is. This is taken at the same volume level, so it's this red line here. And as you can see, it's way flatter. Like the peaks are there isn't a big, and this is with no EQing. This is just how it's set up. Normally, there are some peaks and valleys, that is to be expected. So yeah, as you can see, the SVS sub is way, a lot less output, but a lot more controlled, a lot flatter. The peaks there aren't crazy peaks of output in specific areas. All the prior measurements that I took of the Klipsch sub were taken at the receiver volume of -20. Now I bumped up the volume to -15. So basically the same, but just a higher volume. So yeah, the SVS can give you, much higher. Again, here we got a peak of about 90, almost 97 dB at 44 hertz. But the Klipsch, is giving you, again, almost like 108.
Obviously, you're not going to get the bass extension that the SVS is producing. I'm getting here it peaks at. I'm getting at almost 18 hertz, about 93 dB.
I'm going to go ahead and recommend the Klipsch 12SWs. I think it's a really good sub for the money. It gives you a ton of output. It plays very, very loud at about 44 hertz, like enormous, like very loud, and can even get you around 20 to 18 hertz. You know, you get some output. It's enough to get your couch shaking, and I think the benefit is you don't even need two of these, which is great. I think it's a solid entry from Klipsch at a very, very accessible price, and I'm going to give it a good recommend. I think this is a good choice, and I think it's going to give you a really good experience. So if this is the first time you're watching my channel, welcome, it's good to have you. If you found this review helpful, please like and subscribe. That would really help the channel a lot. And if you have any questions about the sub or pretty much anything about home theaters, I'm happy to help out in any way I can. And I'll see you in the next one.